The Police were an English rock band formed in London in 1977. Within a few months of their first gig, the lineup settled as Sting lead vocals, bass guitar, primary songwriter Andy Summers guitar and Stuart Copeland drums, percussion, and remained unchanged for the rest of the band's history. The Police became globally popular in the late 1970s and early to mid-1980s. Emerging in the British new wave scene, they played a style of rock influenced by punk, reggae, and jazz. Their 1978 debut album, Outlandos d'Amour, reached number 6 on the UK albums chart on the strength of the singles Oxon and Can't Stand Losing You. Their second album, Regatta de Blanc 1979, became the first of 4 consecutive number 1 studio albums in the UK and Australia. Its first 2 singles, Message in a Bottle and Walking on the Moon, became their first UK number 1s. Their next 2 albums, The Amant d'Attack 1980 and Ghost in the Machine 1981, led to further critical and commercial success with 2 songs, Don't Stand So Close to Me and Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, becoming UK number 1 singles and top 5 hits in other countries. The former album was their breakthrough into the US, reaching number 5 on the US Billboard 200. Their final studio album, Synchronicity 1983, was number 1 in the UK, Canada, Australia, Italy and the US, selling over 8 million copies in the US. Its lead single, Every Breath You Take, became their 5th UK number 1, and only US number 1. During this time, the band were considered one of the leaders of the second British invasion of the US. In 1983, Rolling Stone labeled them the first British new wave act to break through in America on a grand scale, and possibly the biggest band in the world. 3. The Police disbanded in 1986, periodically reuniting for one-off performances before fully reuniting in early 2007 for a world tour that ended in August 2008. They were the world's highest-earning musicians in 2008, due to their reunion tour, which was the highest-grossing tour of 2007. For 5. The Police have sold over 75 million records, making them one of the best-selling bands of all time. 6. 7. 8. The band won a number of music awards, including 6 Grammy Awards, 2 Brit Awards, winning Best British Group once, and an MTV Video Music Award. In 2003, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 9. 4 of their 5 studio albums appeared on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. The band were included among both Rolling Stone's and VH1's lists of the 100 greatest artists of all time. 10. 11 History 1977, formation on September 25, 1976. 12 While on tour with the British progressive rock band Curved Air in Newcastle upon Tyne, in the northeast of England, the band's American drummer, Stuart Copeland, met and exchanged phone numbers with ambitious singer-bassist Gordon Sumner, aka Sting 13, who at the time was playing in a jazz-rock fusion band called Last Exit. 14 On January 12, 1977, 15 Sting relocated to London, and on the day of his arrival, sought out Copeland for a jam session. 14 I was inspired by the amazing energy of the whole thing, and I thought, well, I'm new to London and I'm totally unknown, so I'll give it a go. We did a 15-minute lightning set and I squealed and screamed. Sting on his first jam session since arriving in London. 14 Curved Air had recently split up and Copeland, inspired by the contemporary punk rock movement, was eager to form a new band to join the burgeoning London punk scene. While less keen, Sting acknowledged the commercial opportunities, so they formed the Police as a trio, with Corsican guitarist Henry Padovani recruited as the third member. 16 After their debut concert on March 1, 1977 at the Alexandria Club in Newport, Wales, which lasted only 10 minutes, the group played London pubs and punk clubs touring as backing band and support act for Cherry Vanilla and for Wayne County and the Electric Chairs. 17-18 On May 1, 1977, the Police released on Illegal Records their debut single Fallout, recorded at Pathway Studios in Islington, North London on February 12, 1977, a couple of weeks before the band's debut live performance with a budget of £150. 19 This is the only Police recording featuring Padovani. Mick Jagger reviewed the single in Sounds magazine. 20 Also in May 1977, former Gong musician Mike Howlett invited Sting to join him in the band project Strontium 90. The drummer Howlett had in mind Chris Cutler, was unavailable, so Sting took Copeland. The band's fourth member was guitarist Andy Summers. A decade older than Sting and Copeland, Summers was a music industry veteran who had played with Eric Burdon and the Animals and Carpenters among others. Strontium 90 performed at a Pong reunion concert in Paris on May 28, 1977, and played at a London club under the name of The Elevators in July. 21 The band also recorded several demo tracks. These were released along with lead recordings and an early version of Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic 20 years later on the archive album Strontium 90, Police Academy. I thought there was fantastic potential in Sting and Stewart. I'd always wanted to play in a three-piece band. I felt that the three of us together would be very strong. They just needed another guitarist and I thought I was the one. SUMMERS on Sting and Copeland after first hearing them at the Marquee Club in Oxford Street, London. 14 Summers' musicality impressed Sting, who was becoming frustrated with Pat Advani's rudimentary abilities and the limitations they imposed on the Police's potential. Shortly after the Strontium 90 gig, Sting approached Summers to join the band. He agreed, on the condition the band remained a trio, with him replacing Pat Advani. Restrained by loyalty, Copeland and Sting resisted the idea, and the Police carried on as a four-piece version. However, they only performed live twice, on July 25, 1977 at the Music Machine in London and on August 5 at the Mont de Marsan Punk Festival. Shortly after these two gigs and an aborted recording session with ex-Velvet Underground member John Cale as producer on August 10, Summers delivered an ultimatum to the band and Pat Advani was dismissed. The effect of Summers' arrival was instant, Copeland said. One by one, Sting's songs had started coming in, and when Andy joined, it opened up new numbers of Sting's we could do, so the material started to get a lot more interesting and Sting started to take a lot more interest in the group. 14 The Police's power trio lineup of Copeland, Sting, and Summers performed for the first time on August 18, 1977 at Rebecca's Club in Birmingham in the West Midlands. 22 A trio was unusual for the time, and this line-up endured for the rest of the band's history. Few punk bands were three pieces, while contemporary bands pursuing progressive rock, symphonic rock and other sound trends usually expanded their line-ups with support players. 23 The musical background of all three players may have made them suspect to punk purists, with music critic Christopher Gable stating, "The truth is that the band merely utilized the trappings of 1970s British punk, the bleached blonde short hair, Sting in his jumpsuits or army jackets, Copeland and his near-maniacal drumming style." In fact, they were criticized by other punk bands for not being authentic and lacking street cred. What the Police did perhaps take from punk was a brand of nervous, energetic disillusion with 1970s Britain. 24 The band were also able to draw on influences from reggae to jazz to progressive and punk rock. 24 While still maintaining the main band and attempting to win over punk audiences, Police members continued to moonlight within the art rock scene. In late 1977 and early 1978, Sting and Summers recorded and performed as part of an ensemble led by German experimental composer Eberhard Schoner. Copeland also joined for a time. These performances resulted in 3 albums, each of them an eclectic mix of rock, electronica and jazz. 25 Various appearances by the Schoner outfit on German television made the German public aware of Sting's unusual high-pitched voice, and helped pave the way for the Police's later popularity. The bleached blonde hair that became a band trademark happened by accident. In February 1978, the band, desperate for money, were asked to do a commercial for Wrigley Spearmint chewing gum directed by Tony Scott on the condition they dye their hair blonde in order to play a punk band, blonde being associated with punk at the time. 26 The commercial was shot with the band. Summers states, "There's a shot of us carrying a 6-foot-long packet of Wrigley's across the room, but what shelved and never aired." 26 1977 to 1978, recording contract and Outlandos. More Copeland's older brother Miles was initially skeptical of the inclusion of Summers in the band, fearing it would undermine their punk credibility, and reluctantly agreed to provide £1,500 to finance the Police's first album. Recording Outlandos. More was difficult, as the band was working on a small budget, with no manager or record deal. It was recorded during off-peak hours at the Surrey Sound Studios in Leatherhead, Surrey, a converted recording facility above a dairy which was run by brothers Chris and Nigel Gray. 27 During one of his periodic studio visits, Mile heard Oxon for the first time at the end of a session. Where he had been less enthusiastic about the band's other songs, the elder Copeland was immediately struck by the track, and quickly got the Police a record deal with A&M Records on the strength of it. 28 Oxon was issued as a single in the spring of 1978, while other album tracks were still being recorded, but it failed to chart. It also failed to make the BBC's playlist, which the band attributed to the song's depiction of prostitution. A&M consequently promoted the single with posters claiming banned by the BBC, though this was a misconception. It was never banned, just not playlisted. Copeland later admitted, "We got a lot of mileage out of it being supposedly banned by the BBC." 29 BBC Television Centre, where the Police made their television debut on the Old Great Whistle Test in 1978, and where they made their first appearance on Top of the Pops in 1979. The Police made their first television appearance in October 1978, on BBC 2's The Old Great Whistle Test to promote the release of Outlando's D More. 30 Though Oxon was never banned, the BBC did ban the second single from Outlando's D More, Can't Stand Losing You. This was due to the single's cover, which featured Copeland hanging himself over an ice block being melted by a portable radiator. 31 The single became a minor chart hit, the Police's first, peaking at number 42 in the UK. 32 The follow-up single, So Lonely, issued in November 1978, failed to chart. In February 1979, Oxon was issued as a single in North America, where it was warmly received on radio despite the subject matter. The song peaked at number 31 in Canada and number 32 in the US, spurring the UK re-release of it in April. The band performed Oxon on BBC One's Top of the Pops, and the reissue of the song finally gained the band widespread recognition in the UK when it peaked at number 12 on the UK singles chart. 33 The group's UK success led to gigs in the US at the famous New York City club CBGB, the Rathskeller the Rat in Boston, and at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York, from which Oxon finally debuted on US radio on WPDH, and a Grua Link 1979 North American tour in which the band drove themselves and their equipment around the country in a Ford Econoline van. That summer, Can't Stand Losing You was also re-released in the UK, becoming a substantial hit, peaking at number 2. 32 The group's first single, All Out, was reissued in late 1979, peaking at number 47 in the UK. 32 1979, Regatta D Blanc Summers performing with the band in 1979. In October 1979, the group released their second album, Regatta D Blanc, which topped the UK albums chart and became the first of 4 consecutive UK #1 studio albums. 32 The album spawned the hit singles Message in a Bottle #1 UK, #2 Canada, #5 Australia and Walking on the Moon #1 UK. 34 The album's singles failed to enter the US top 40, but Regatta D Blanc still reached number 25 on the US album charts. 35 The band's first live performance of Message in a Bottle was on the BBC's television show Rock Goes to College, filmed at Hatfield Polytechnic College in Hertfordshire. 36 The instrumental title track Regatta D Blanc won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance. 37 In February 1980, the single So Lonely was reissued in the UK. Originally a non-charting flop when first issued in late 1978, upon re-release the track became a UK top 10 hit, peaking at number 6. 32 In March 1980, the Police began their first world tour, which included places that had seldom hosted foreign performers including Mexico, India, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Greece and Egypt. 34 The tour was subsequently documented in the film The Police Around the World 1982, directed by Kate and Derek Burbidge, which contains footage shot by Annie Nightingale, originally intended for a BBC production. The Police in the East. 38 In May 1980, A&M in the UK released 6-pack, 8 package containing the 5 previous A&M singles not including Fall Out in their original sleeves, plus a mono alternate take of the album track The Bed's Too Big Without You, backed with a live version of Truth Hits Everybody. It reached number 17 in the UK singles chart, although chart regulations introduced later in the decade would have classed it as an album. 32 1980 to 1981, a month at testing with the Police in Buenos Aires. 1980. Pressured by their record company for a new record and a prompt return to touring, the Police released their third album, The Amont Attack, in October 1980. The album was recorded in a 3-week period in the Netherlands for tax reasons and was completed the night before the band embarked on a new world tour. 39. The album gave the group their third UK #1 hit, Don't Stand So Close to Me, the UK's best-selling single of 1980, and another hit single, Dee Doo Doo Doo, DD88, both of which reached number 10 in the US. 35. While the three band members and co-producer Nigel Gray all expressed immediate regret over the rushed recording for the album, which was finished at 4 a.m. on the day the band began their world tour. 40. The album received high praise from critics. 41. 42. The instrumental Behind My Camel, written by Andy Summers, won the band a Grammy for Best Rock Instrumental Performance, while Don't Stand So Close to Me won the Grammy for Best Rock Vocal Performance for Duo or Group. 37. 1981 to 1982. Ghost in the Machine and Brimstone and Treacle. The Police's fourth album, Ghost in the Machine, co-produced by Hugh Padgham, was recorded at Air Studios on the Caribbean island of Montserrat, with the exception of Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, which was recorded at Lee Studio at Morin Heights, Quebec, Canada, and released in 1981. It featured thicker sounds, layered saxophones, and vocal textures. It spawned the hit singles Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic featuring pianist Gene Russell, their fourth UK #1, #3 in the US, and Visible Sun and Spirits in the Material World. 32. 35. As the band was unable to agree on a cover picture, the album cover had 3 red pictographs, digital likenesses of the three band members in the style of segmented LED displays, set against a black background. In the 1980s, Sting and Summers became tax exiles and moved to Ireland. Sting to Roundstone, County Galway, and Summers to Kinsale in County Cork, while Copeland, an American, remained in England. The group opened and closed the 1981 concert film, Berg, The Music War. The film, which captured the music scene in the wake of punk, was masterminded by Stuart Copeland's brothers Ian and Miles. The film had a limited release but developed a mythic reputation over the years. 43. At the 1982 Brit Awards in London, the Police received the award for Best British Group. 44. After the Ghost in the Machine tour concluded in 1982, the group took a sabbatical and each member pursued outside projects. By this time, Sting was becoming a major star, and he established a career beyond the Police by branching out into acting. Back in 1979, he had made the well-received debut as the ace face in the British drama film Quadrophenia, the film loosely based on the Who's rock opera, followed by a role as a mechanic in love with Eddie Cochran's music in Chris Petty's Radio On. In 1982, Sting furthered his acting career by co-starring in the Richard Lawn Crane film Brimstone and Treacle. He also had a minor solo hit in the United Kingdom with the movie's theme song, a cover of the 1929 hit Spread a Little Happiness, which appeared on the Brimstone and Treacle soundtrack, along with 3 new Police tracks, How Stupid Mr. Bates, The Kind of Loving, and I Burn For You. Over 1981 and 1982, Summers recorded his first album with Robert Fripp, I Advance Mask. 45. In 1983, Stuart Copeland composed the musical score for Francis Ford Coppola's film Rumblefish. The single Don't Box Me In theme from Rumblefish, a collaboration between Copeland and singer-songwriter Stan Ridgway of the Ben Wall of Voodoo, received significant airplay upon release of the film that year. Also in 1983, Sting filmed his first big-budget movie role playing Phaedra in David Lynch's Dune. As Sting's fame rose, his relationship with Stuart Copeland deteriorated. Their increasingly strained partnership was further stretched by the pressures of worldwide publicity and fame, conflicting egos, and their financial success. Meanwhile, both Sting's and Summers' marriages failed. 1983, the biggest band in the world, MTV, has paved the way for a host of invaders from abroad. In return, grateful Brits, even superstars like Pete Townsend and the Police, have mugged for MTV promo spots and made the phrase "I want my MTV" a household commonplace. The Anglonia, the second British invasion, by Peter Baugh for Rolling Stone, November 1983. 46. In 1983, the Police released their last studio album, Synchronicity, which spawned the hit singles Every Breath You Take, Wrapped Around Your Finger, King of Pain, and Synchronicity. By that time, several critics deemed them the biggest rock band in the world. 1447 recording the album, however, was a tense affair with increasing disputes among the band. The three members recorded their contributions individually in separate rooms and overdubbed at different times. 48 The Synchronicity tour began in Chicago, Illinois in July 1983 at the original Comiskey Park, and on August 18 the band played in front of 70,000 in Shea Stadium, New York. 47 Near the end of the concert, Sting announced, "We'd like to thank the Beatles for lending us their stadium." 47 Looking back, Copeland states, "Playing Shea Stadium was big because, even though I'm a septic tank rhyming slang for Yank the Police is an English band and I'm a Londoner, an American Londoner, so it felt like conquering America." 49 They played throughout the UK in December 1983, including 4 sold-out nights at London's Wembley Arena, and the tour ended in Melbourne, Australia on March 4, 1984 at the Melbourne Showgrounds. The final concert featured Sonny Boyce, Kid in the Kitchen, Bryan Adams and Australian Crawl, with the Police topping the bill. Sting's look, dominated by his orange-colored hair, a result of his role in Dune and tattered clothing, both of which were emphasized in the music videos from the album, carried over into the set for the concert. Except for King of Pain, the singles were accompanied by music videos directed by Godley and Cream. Synchronicity became a #1 album in both the UK, where it debuted at #1, and the US. It stayed at #1 in the UK for 2 weeks and in the US for 17 weeks. 50-51 It was nominated for Grammy Awards for Album of the Year, but lost to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Every Breath You Take won the Grammy for Song of the Year, 37, beating Jackson's Billie Jean. Every Breath You Take also won the Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, while the album won the Grammy for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal. Every Breath You Take also won the American Video Award for Best Group Video, and the song won 2 Ivor Novello Awards in the categories Best Song Musically and Lyrically and Most Performed Work from the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers, and Authors. 50 to 1984 to 1986, Hiatus, the boarded 6th studio album. During the group's 1983 Shea Stadium concert, Sting felt performing at the venue was Everest and decided to pursue the solo career. According to the documentary The Last Play at Shea. 53 After the Synchronicity tour ended in March 1984, the band went on hiatus while Sting recorded and toured in support of his successful solo debut LP, The Jazz-Influenced The Dream of the Blue Turtles. Released in June 1985, Copeland recorded and filmed The Rhythmatist 1985 and Summers recorded another album with Robert Fripp, Bewitched 1984, and the theme song for the film 2010, which was not used in the film, but included on the soundtrack album. At the 1985 Brit Awards held at London's Grosvenor Hotel on February 11, the band received the award for Outstanding Contribution to Music. 54 In July the same year, Sting and Copeland participated in Live Aid at Wembley Stadium, London. 55 It was very emotional for them. I think it was clear in Sting's eyes that he was not going to be in a band anymore. They had come together for this tour and that was it. BONO, on the Police's final concert at Giants Stadium, June 1986. 56 In June 1986, the Police reconvened to play 3 concerts for the Amnesty International A Conspiracy of Hope tour. Their last performance on stage before their split was on June 15 at Giants Stadium in New Jersey. 56 They ended their set with Invisible Sun, bringing out Bono to sing the final verse. Then they finished. They handed U2 their instruments for the all-star finale of I Shall Be Released. 56 As the lead singer of U2, who themselves would soon be regarded as the biggest band in the world, Bono stated, "It was a very big moment, like passing a torch." 56 In July of that year, the trio reunited in the studio to record the new album. However, Copeland broke his collarbone in a fall from a horse and was unable to play the drums. 57 As a result of the tense and short-lived reunion in the studio, Don't Stand So Close to Me 86 was released in October 1986 as their final single and made it into the UK Top 25. It also appeared on the 1986 compilation Every Breath You Take. The singles, which reached number 1 on the UK albums chart. 32 A re-recorded version of DD8888 was subsequently also included on the DD's CD release of the Every Breath You Take, the Class 6 album in 1995. The album has sold over 5 million copies in the US. 58 Following the failed effort to record a new studio album, the Police effectively disbanded. In the liner notes to the Police's box set Message in a Box, Summers explains, the attempt to record the new album was doomed from the outset. The night before we went into the studio, Stewart broke his collarbone falling off a horse, and that meant we lost our last chance of recovering some rapport just by jamming together. Anyway, it was clear Sting had no real intention of writing any new songs for the Police. It was an empty exercise. 59 1986 to 2006 Disbandment. Sting performing as a solo artist in May 1986. Each band member continued with his solo career over the next 20 years. Sting continued recording and touring as a solo performer to great success. Summers recorded a number of albums, both as a solo artist and in collaboration with other musicians. Copeland became a prolific producer of movie and television soundtracks, and he recorded and toured with two new bands, Animal Logic and Oysterhead. However, a few events did bring the Police back together, albeit briefly. Summers played guitar on Sting's album Nothing Like the Sun 1987, a favor the singer returned by playing bass on Summers' album Charming Snakes 1990 and later singing lead vocals on Round Midnight for Summers' tribute to Thelonious Monk Green Chimneys 1999. On October 2, 1991, Sting's 40th birthday, Summers joined Sting on stage at the Hollywood Bowl during the Soul Cages tour to perform Walking on the Moon, Every Breath You Take and Message in a Bottle. The performance was broadcast as a pay-per-view event. On August 22, 1992, Sting married Trudy Styler in an 11th century chapel in Wiltshire, southwest England. 60 Summers and Copeland were invited to the ceremony and reception. Aware that all band members were present, the wedding guests pressured the trio into playing, and they performed Toxon and Message in a Bottle. Copeland said later that after about 3 minutes, it became the thing again. In 1995, A&M released Live, the double Live album produced by Summers featuring two complete concerts, one recorded on November 27, 1979 at the Orpheum Theatre in Boston during the Regatta D Block tour, and one recorded on November 2, 1983 at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, during the Synchronicity tour. The latter was also documented in the VHS tape Synchronicity concert in 1984. On March 10, 2003, the Police were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and performed Toxon, Message in a Bottle and Every Breath You Take. Live. As a group, the last song was performed alongside Steven Tyler, Gwen Stefani, and John Mayer. 61 In the autumn of 2003, Sting released his autobiography, Broken Music. 62 In 2004, Copeland and Summers joined Incubus on stage at KROQ's Almost Acoustic Christmas concert in Los Angeles performing Toxon and Message in a Bottle. In 2004, Henry Patagani released an album with the participation of Copeland and Sting on one track, reuniting the original Police lineup for the first time since 1977. Also in 2004, Rolling Stone ranked the Police number 70 on their list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. 63 In 2006, Stuart Copeland released a rockumentary about the band called Everyone Stares, The Police Inside Out, based on Super 8 filming he did when the band was touring and recording in the late 1970s and early 1980s. In October 2006, Andy Summers released One Train Later, an autobiographical memoir detailing his early career and time with the band. 2007 to 2008, Reunion Tour main article, The Police Reunion Tour, Sting with the group at Madison Square Garden, August 2007. In early 2007, reports surfaced the trio would reunite for a tour to mark the Police's 30th anniversary, more than 20 years since their split in 1986. 64 On January 22, 2007, the Punk Wave magazine Sideline broke the story the Police would reunite for the Grammys, and would perform Roxanne. 65 66 67 Sideline also stated the Police were to embark on a massive world tour. Billboard magazine later confirmed the news, quoting Summers' 2006 statement as to how the band could have continued post-Synchronicity. The more rational approach would have been, "Okay, Sting, Go make a solo record, and let's get back together in 2 or 3 years. I'm certain we could have done that. Of course we could have. We were definitely not in a creative dry space. We could have easily carried on, and we could probably still be there. That wasn't to be our fate. It went in another way. I regret we never paid off with the last tour. 64-68 The band opened the 49th Annual Grammy Awards on February 11, 2007 in Los Angeles. 69 Announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Police, and we're back." Before launching into Roxanne. 70 Guitarist Andy Summers performing in Marseille with the group, June 2008 A&M, the band's record company, promoted the 2007-08 reunion tour as the 30th anniversary of the band's formation and of the release of their first single for A&M, Roxanne. 64 The Police reunion tour began in late May 2007 with 2 shows in Vancouver. Stuart Copeland gave a scathing review of the show on his own website 71, which the press interpreted as a feud occurring 2 gigs into the tour. Copeland later apologized for besmirching "my buddy Sting," and chalked up the comments to hyper self-criticism. 72 Tickets for the British leg of the tour sold out within 30 minutes, and the band played 2 nights at Twickenham Stadium on 8 and 9 September. 73 On 29 and September 30, 2007, Henry Patagani joined the group on stage for the final encore of their 2 shows in Paris, playing the song "Next to You" as a 4-piece band. 74 In October 2007, the group played the largest gig of the reunion tour in Dublin in front of 82,000 fans. 75 The group headlined the TW Classic Festival in Worcester, Belgium on June 7, 2008. They also headlined the last night of the 2008 Isle of Wight Festival on 15 June. 76 The Heineken Jammin' Festival in Venice on June 23 and the Sunday night at Hard Rock Calling, previously called Hyde Park Calling, in London on 29 June. 77 Drummer Stuart Copeland performing in Marseille with the group in February 2008. The band announced that, when the tour finished, they would break up again. "There will be no new album, no big new tour," said Sting. "Once we're done with our reunion tour, that's it for the Police." 78 The final show of the tour was on August 7, 2008 at Madison Square Garden in New York City. 79 The band performed the opening song, "Message in a Bottle," with the brass band of the New York Metropolitan Police Corporation. Later, they performed "Sunshine of Your Love" and "Purple Haze" as a tribute to the rock trios that preceded them, Cream and the Jimi Hendrix Experience. While announcing the show, the group also donated $1 million to New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg's initiative to plant 1 million trees in the city by 2017. 80 The world's highest-earning musicians in 2008. The tour sold 3.7 million tickets and grossed $358 million, making it the 3rd highest-grossing tour of all time. At its conclusion. 81 On November 11, 2008, the Police released Certifiable, Live in Buenos Aires, the Blu-ray, DVD and CD set of the band's 2 performances in Buenos Aires, Argentina on the tour 1 and December 2, 2007. Those sets with 2 DVDs also included a documentary shot by Copeland's son Jordan entitled "Better Than Therapy," as well as some photographs of Buenos Aires taken by Andy Summers. 82-83 Musical style. The Police started as a punk rock band, but soon expanded their music vocabulary to incorporate reggae, pop, and new wave elements to their sound. In his retrospective assessment, Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic argues that the notion of the Police as a punk rock band was true only in the loosest sense of the term. He states the band's nervous, reggae-injected pop/rock was punky and had a punk spirit, but it wasn't necessarily punk. 84 8 Power Trio. 85 The Police are also known as a new wave 86 and post-punk band. 87-88 with many songs falling in the reggae fusion genre. 84 Legacy. The Police pictured on stage in the Stadio del Alpi, Turin, in 2007 are known for their stadium rock. In 2003, the Police were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in their first year of eligibility. 1 In 2004, Rolling Stone ranked the Police number 70 on their list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. 89 And in 2010, the band were ranked 40th on VH1's 100 Greatest Artists of All Time. 94 of the band's 5 studio albums appeared on Rolling Stone's 2003 list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Ghost in the Machine number 322, Regatta de Blanc number 369, Outlandos d'Amour number 434, and Synchronicity number 455.91 in 2008. Q Magazine named Synchronicity among the top 10 British albums of the 1980s. 92. The primary songwriter for The Police, Sting was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2002. 93. In Rolling Stone's 2000 for list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, Every Breath You Take ranked number 84, the highest new wave song on the list, and Rock On ranked number 388. Message in a Bottle ranked number 65 in the magazine's 2008 list of the 100 greatest guitar songs. 94. Q Magazine named Every Breath You Take among the top 10 British songs of the 1980s, and in a UK-wide poll by ITV in 2015 it was voted the nation's favorite 80s number 1. 90-95. In May 2019, Every Breath You Take was recognized by BMI as being the most performed song in their catalogue, overtaking You've Lost That Love and Feelin' performed by the Righteous Brothers. 96. With a string of UK number 1 albums, The Police were among the most commercially successful British bands of the early 1980s, and with success overseas they are typically regarded as in both the vanguard of the second British invasion and the New Wave movement. 186. With a history of playing to large audiences such as Shea Stadium in 1983, The Police were a featured artist in the Stadium Rock episode of the 2007 BBC/VH1 series 7 Ages of Rock along with Queen, Led Zeppelin, U2 and Bruce Springsteen. 97. Despite the band's well-documented disagreements with one another, Summers confirmed in 2015 that Sting, Copeland and he are good friends. Summers said, "Despite the general press thing about God, they hate each other, it's actually not true. We're very supportive of one another." 98. While remembering his time with The Police fondly and still retaining love for his former bandmates, Copeland recalled in 2022 that working with Sting musically was like to pray a suit made out of barbed wire, and that, rather than get involved in the creative infighting, Summers would enjoy throwing bombs to egg on the younger men. It was never an ego clash, Copeland said. 99. Discography main articles, The Police discography and list of songs recorded by The Police. Outlandos d'Amour 1978, Regatta de Blanc 1979, Zenye Amant d'Attack 1980, Ghost in the Machine 1981, Synchronicity 1983, Concert Tours, The Police Around the World Tour 1977-1980, Zenye Amant d'Attack Tour 1980-1981, Ghost in the Machine Tour 1981-1982, Synchronicity Tour 1983-1984, The Police Reunion Tour 2007-2008. Band members: Sting, bass guitar, lead and backing vocals, double bass, keyboards 1977-1986, 1992, 2003, 2007-2008. Andy Summers, guitars, backing vocals, keyboards 1977-1986, 1992, 2003, 2007-2008. Stuart Copeland, drums, percussion, backing vocals 1977-1986, 1992, 2003, 2007-2008. Henry Patagani, guitars 1977, guest 2007. Awards and nominations: Brit Awards 1982, Best British Group 1985, Outstanding Contribution to Music Grammy Awards Year Nominee/Work Award Result 1981, Regatta de Blanc Best Rock Instrumental Performance 1 1982, Behind My Camel 1, Don't Stand So Close to Me Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal 1 1984, Synchronicity Album of the Year nominated Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal 1, Every Breath You Take Record of the Year nominated Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal 1 1986. The Police Synchronicity Concert Best Music Video, Long Form nominated. Note: Every Breath You Take won Song of the Year in 1984, but in this category the award goes to the composer of the song, not to the performing artist. The song was written and composed by Sting, The Police's vocalist. Juno Awards Year Nominee/Work Award Result 1984, Synchronicity International Album of the Year 1, People's Choice Awards Year Nominee/Work Award Result 2008, Themselves Favorite Reunion Tour 101 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Police were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on March 10, 2003. 102 other lists ranked no. 70 on Rolling Stone's Immortals, the 100 greatest artists of all time. 11 ranked no. 40 on VH1's list of 100 greatest artists of all time. 10 see also list of best-selling music artists, list of highest grossing concert tours, list of new wave artists, list of reggae rock artists.